Okay, so do you already make a lot of money but want to make more money? And what I mean by a lot of money is maybe you're like me back in the days and you made $170,000 as a doctor of pharmacy your best year, but you're trying to figure out how to work a little bit less and not have to spend every single minute of your life at the pharmacy or at your W 2 job. And then you come across like an ad on Instagram or something like that, or like a YouTube video that says, I get passive income with Airbnbs. And you've wondered, is it real? And then you do the numbers and you use things like AirDNA or Rabu.com and then figure out, maybe in my backyard it's not the best idea, and then you're pretty much stuck. And that happens to a lot of my friends in California who live in like San Diego, where I live, where I'm filming right now in Coronado Island, or in like Orange County or San Francisco, the Bay Area, where yeah, the homes will make a lot of money especially if you own the home like pretty much outright cash. But the problem is I am 33 years old. A lot of my friends are around my age. Some are older, some are younger, but a lot of them are around 25 to 45. And they don't have $1 million to invest in real estate today in California. And it wouldn't make sense for them to just make $100,000 every single year from that property. For me, it doesn't really still make that much sense, like, to invest most of my money here, not because like I don't have the money, but because I have the skills to invest out of state and actually buy properties that are pretty much $200,000 or less, that make pretty much the same amount or more than my California homes. And just for example, I'll use my own property here in San Diego. The property costs $860,000. The mortgage is around $5,300 every single month. And it makes around $8,000, a little bit more every single month as a small multifamily. But I had to put in, again, $860,000 to get this home. And I had to get really creative, and it was bought with a partner. And we have a separate contract about like how we're going to take care of that. And it was just like so complicated. So yeah, I might be making like $2,000 to $3,000. I mean, it's going up. Rents go up here, thankfully, eventually. But for the amount of work that I had to do, it was quite a lot of work. Versus like me having 16 homes total and knowing the knowledge I have and like running a property management or co-hosting company for others and having my own design company, I can easily go and buy these $200,000 properties in West Virginia or Kentucky or in Ohio or South Carolina and make 70 to 120 every single year from them. And it's not much of a headache for me. And that's why like it wouldn't be very smart for me to invest in my own backyard. Even though I love San Diego, I think the property values are going to go up. Same with the Bay Area and LA area or Orange County area. I think the prices are going to go up. But it's just hard to currently cash flow them and make more than $100,000. And I think it's a problem. And that's why I kind of want to discuss like reverse Airbnb arbitrage and why I think that might be something a lot of people could be interested in. Because if you lived in the East Coast, you run into another problem. Like a lot of times the money you make there isn't as strong as it is in California. So you can't really arbitrage too much because you already have trouble making more money unless you're in like South Carolina and you're higher up on the corporate ladder. Or you just have a really strong business. But most people in California have a higher minimum wage than people in the East Coast. And for that reason, you can technically use the income that you make here if you don't spend it all on your daily cost of living, which is quite common because I looked up recently, like for a middle class family to enjoy their lives and have a family of 4 in California, they need to make $109,000 net after their job, which means it's probably like $300,000 worth of income to be considered middle class, and you're pretty much going to burn through $190,000. So it gets quite expensive. And if you want to learn more about that, you can watch the video I just posted the other day underneath this one. But I'm not going to talk about it here. But this reverse Airbnb arbitrage salary thing that I'm trying to explain, I don't really have a term keyed for it. I guess we'll just call it reverse arbitrage. And what I mean is like you take your high income salary here in California that you're lucky to have, and instead of buying in the same market you're at, where you're not really exploiting any price discrepancies or like price differences. So yeah, sure you make more money, but everything else is more expensive. Learn to take that money you make in California and bring it to these more affordable states like Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, South Carolina, Florida, where people are actually moving to. So if you didn't know, people are leaving California right now by the millions and moving to these other states. Yeah, they might be back, and some people will regret moving to the other states, but overall, the trend is every single year for quite a while now, people are just leaving California. People like my family who technically will never ever see themselves coming back to California. And I know some people are like, good riddance, don't come back. But that's just happening even more and more often and more frequently. And a lot of people aren't regretting their choices. So yeah, sure, there'll be some that regret their choices to leave. But overall, most people are leaving. If you don't believe me, just look at U-Haul migration trends. You can go and see where people are dropping off U-Hauls. You can just check Redfin migration trends too. So if you want to put up any city like San Diego, you can see where people are coming into and leaving to. If you put in like South Carolina, you can see that tons of people are moving to South Carolina at like a 4-to-1 ratio. So 4 people come in, 1 person leaves. So it's absolutely insane. And the prices are much more affordable. But with that type of migration going to these places, there's a good chance home prices are going to go up. People are going to make more money over there in the long term, temporarily, for like maybe like 20 years, 30 years. So there's going to be good price increases. And because you don't have to put $200,000 down for an investment home in San Francisco or San Diego and only make, I don't know, $20,000 net after that, you're pretty much going to have a better return. Because from what I've just told you, from the homes in the East Coast that are making pretty much the same amount from a fourth the price, you're going to be better off financially if you invest over there. And if you're worried about appreciation, you can go to apps like reventure.app and just look at the year-over-year price growth changes. It's actually much more in the East Coast compared to San Diego, Los Angeles, Bay Area. Of course, it's like market specific, but if you just look at the counties, Fayetteville, West Virginia, look at the appreciation rate there. It's like 11%. In San Diego, it's around like 5.3, I think, year over year. So don't make appreciation the reason why you don't buy these homes. The only thing that's different is when you get appreciation on a $1.2 million property, it looks much larger than when you get appreciation on a $200,000 property. But what's crazy is if you buy $1.2 million worth of property in West Virginia, that means you get 10% appreciation on $1.2 million. But in addition to not making only $20,000 net cash flow, you instead make $100,000 cash flow. Plus you get that appreciation. So the problem is you work more because you're doing 5 times the amount of deals. But if you're like me, 25 to 45, and you don't have multi-millions of dollars of cash just chilling in the bank, it's probably a better strategy for you to move your money into cash flow and high appreciation markets and just do the work. Do the dang work. And that's why that reverse arbitrage for like Californians is going to work really well. And I think this is how people are going to get really rich in real estate in the next maybe 10 to 20 years. Of course, there's going to be a point where it doesn't make sense anymore because home prices in the East Coast are likely going to catch up to California prices. I mean, there's already places like Connecticut or Massachusetts where homes are in the millions, and every market has their own $1 million property. I'll tell you that, especially when you're in luxury real estate. But the cool thing about Airbnb is like you're kind of in luxury real estate by default because you need to be a good-looking Airbnb and a top performer in order to get the majority of bookings and to keep on consistently getting booked. So your properties stay top tier and you keep on upgrading. Versus like here in California, you have like deferred maintenance on every single property. And if you decide not to have deferred maintenance, you're basically going to make no net money. Essentially, because you're basically just pumping all your profits into like capital expenditures, which are like repairing the roof, slight imperfections, or like foundation, electrical, plumbing, big ticket items like that and repairs. Like if you're just always fixing up your property, you're not going to make any money on your investment either, except from appreciation, which I generally don't tell people to make bets on appreciation just because it comes and goes on a 4% average annual basis. So it's like more spontaneous, and also you can't really eat equity until you do like a HELOC or a cash out refinance, which I do all the time. I love. But if you want money easier, like if you want to spend money from your rental property, do this reverse arbitrage thing that I tell everyone about, which is save money here and then go ahead and budget and invest your next $50,000 in a property in West Virginia versus investing $50,000 on a down payment in a home in California. And you're going to make way more money doing that in the long run. So if you want to retire in 2 to 5 years, you don't have to save up $1 million to buy 5 homes using 20% down payments in California. You can do so with like maybe $300,000 saved and 5 homes in West Virginia that make $100,000 a piece. And then you keep maybe $250,000 worth. And this is going to be the, again, best strategy for 25 to 45-year-olds if they want to retire within 2 to 5 years. Unless you just have like a crazy high-paying job and you're not finding enough deals and you don't know how to deploy money as fast as you're earning it. So if you're making like $3 million per year, $4 million per year, just message me instead, DM me, and we can think of different strategies of how to make it work faster. Because at that point, you can get 60% returns from the way I'm suggesting you buy real estate, but you might not have the know-how to deploy it fast enough where you're earning enough money. Because there are people out there who just make so much money through their business that they don't know how to spend it fast enough in a way that's cash efficient. So you want high returns on your money essentially. But for the general population, again, if you're like me back in the days, if you're a pharmacist or you're someone who made $170,000, who kept like $90,000 after Medicare taxes, investments, Social Security, 401k, and you're just trying to like not hustle every single day because you're spending all your money so fast and you can't find a really good investment vehicle, and the investments in your own backyard, like in Anaheim or in like, I don't know, Mira Mesa or like somewhere in Pasadena or Oakland, San Francisco, just don't make sense as Airbnb investments based off what you've looked on like Rabu.com. Consider, again, the rural real estate investing route. At the end of the day, I think that the real estate investment should be a financial instrument first and emotional second. It's only emotional when you're buying it to live in. I'll make bad purchases all the time. Like this car was really expensive when I first bought it. It was an emotional purchase. But I kind of work in here. I live in here and it saved my life because it's 4-wheel drive and it snowed in Colorado. And my house here was partly like if I were to live in it, it would be an emotional purchase. Like a $1.2 million purchase in Oceanside, California is likely not a good financial investment because it doesn't put money in my pocket. It's going to take $6,000 away from my pocket every single month. But I think it's better than the alternative, which is renting and just having rents paid for me or like being raised on me. It sucks to have someone to always like ask permission for unless you have a really cool landlord, which I think I'm a really cool landlord, so I'm pretty flexible. But overall, if you're buying like Airbnbs, do it for the financial purpose. And then if you're seeing that you're making consistent cash-on-cash returns of 30%, 60% and above, infinite returns when you exit using like cash-out refinances, DSCR cash-out refinances, secondary home equity lines of credits, you'll find that you can retire much sooner and that becoming an Airbnb host is quite possible. And it's not an option again for a lot of people. Like if you're in a low-paid state, like I don't know what's a low-paid state. Is it Wisconsin? Maybe, I don't know. So Louisiana, I'm not sure. I don't know what states are low-paid. I haven't done the research there. But if the minimum wages are like much lower, or like people in general in the area just don't have higher incomes, they don't have the opportunity to do this reverse arbitrage method. And then if you're in California and you have this opportunity, you're not taking advantage of it. It's like you have the knowledge. I just told you could make $250,000 relatively pretty fast within 2 to 5 years. If you're not making $250,000 from real estate now, or even through your job, you can just you could essentially subtract it. Like, say you're supposed to make $250,000 every year from this real estate business, but now you're only making $40,000, and you refuse to try this reverse arbitrage method because you think it's too risky. Your loss is essentially 250 minus, like, I don't know, $100,000. So you're the knowledge to make $250,000 is out there, but you won't take the action to do it. So you're just stuck making $100,000. And the price of inaction in that case is too high for me. And the thing about real estate, it's also so tax advantaged that even though it says $250,000, it probably is going to be $250,000 net, because we make a lot of income based off the one type of income that's not really taxed, which is in the form of debt. Because every time you work like W-2 work, you get taxed from federal and state taxes, especially if you're a six-figure earner like I was. I was getting taxed like 35 to 40% on my peak year. And then I remember even my bonus was $20,000. They took immediately like 45% of it. So I ended up only keeping like $10,000 after a $20,000 bonus. Like, gross math, obviously. I don't have like the papers in front of me. But don't forget about this reverse arbitrage method. And if you need help with any of this stuff, check out some of my videos before. You can follow me on Instagram. I throw out tons of free tips. And if you want to figure out how you can work with me, go to my website, T's and Tango, E's and Echo, E's and Echo, C's and Charlie, O's and Oscar.co, tico.co. And happy investing, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.